was a men's rights advocate in Australia. Americans liked her rhetoric so much that American men paid for her to move here to the United States of America. She lives in Texas. Who is she? Well, let's focus on something from today. It's actually 11 months old. Now, Sydney Watson, I did start watching her because she claims to be a men's rights advocate. Well, she's also racist. See, here's the thing. Well, she recognizes that women tend to cry crocodile tears when they don't get what they want. When they're told on, then they will cry, "Oh, poor me. He's trying to destroy my life by telling the truth. He's a liar." We've got to see crocodile tears coming from white women and how they work. Leslie Snell didn't need any evidence. All she had to do was work together with Scott DeCosta to prevent me from being allowed to even go to court. I couldn't even safely go to the courthouse to turn in paperwork because Leslie Snell, after attempting to put my number public so that people would have access to harm me, wanted to play victim and pretend like I was threatening to kill her. Oh, absolutely not. I was telling on my predators and the crimes that they were committing against me and still are. See, that's something that none of you ever pay attention to. When you destroy a person's name like that, yes, there are things that that person can do to get a fucking court date, to fucking make things better. But where were my friends? Oh yeah, I have the wrong color skin, the wrong gender. If I cry, I am harmed. Sidney Watson herself makes fun of men who cry and then says it's okay for men to cry. She talks about how horrible it is that men, when a woman cries and plays victim, that a man will automatically be harmed. But she doesn't want to recognize that white women are the predominant factor. Now, however, what Sydney's pissed off about in this one is that a black woman pointed it out and made it just white women tears. As if it's just white women who do this. How many black women do I know who have pulled crocodile tears after beating on their husband? Quite a few. Or their boyfriend. Or because they went out and had sex with a bunch of his friends as a special fuck you because he was emotionally cheating because he texted his boss that he wouldn't come in tomorrow because he's got to take care of his kids. Meanwhile, why is he taking care of the kids? Why isn't he at work? It's not just white women. Every woman in America knows she can do this. The white ones, the black ones, the Native American ones. Christian women know they can do this. Muslim women know they can do this. Atheist women know they can do this. Meanwhile, Sidney Watson acknowledges that this is a very real thing. She acknowledges that it's a very real thing for women to do this, but she doesn't acknowledge that white women are more prone to it, or rather more prone to getting away with it. How true is that? It's not! This is why Sidney Watson's pissed off about this one. This black woman is trying to make it a whites-only thing. Only white women do this. This is a white women thing. Well, that's because some black women have been on the receiving end of it. There's some white women who have been at the receiving end of it. Because the color of your skin and your gender are not the only deciding factors. Meanwhile, is it all white women who are doing this? Is it? Is it all black men who are doing these things? Two very different sides of the coin, aren't they? Black men, white women. Meanwhile, black women in relationships with black men will do the same thing that white women in relationships with white men will do. Play victim. Shed some crocodile tears. Work together with your friends to prevent the victim from being able to safely come forward. That's what I need, is help safely coming forward. And that takes a friend or family member who actually cares, not some Australian moron. Thank goodness not all Australians are morons, but this one certainly is. Sidney Watson wants to go, oh, well, you know, it's horrible. This phenomenon is very real and it happens to men. But no, a woman would never, ever pull that on another woman, apparently. It's racist if a woman who is black claims that, well, it is racist. That black woman is assigning this specifically to white women. Now, of course, this is a female phenomena that nearly every woman wants to pretend is fake. But now that we've got a black woman who's pointing out that white women are doing it, we can also point out that black women are doing it, and therefore it is women, not just the white ones. See, being a woman has a lot more to do with it than being white. White doesn't mean that your guilt is not assumed. Being poor does that. We've gotten to the point where men are expected to approach women, but they won't. Because you'll pretend like he's a rapist if he's not good looking enough for you, or doesn't have enough money for you, or isn't tall enough for you. Then he's a creeper who's probably rapey. Isn't that right? When it comes to them tears, that black woman is right on the button about how that is dangerous. And it does lead to violence specifically against men. See, that's this black woman wants to ignore everybody else. Only black women matter, and it's white women who did it. See, you always got to find a way to segregate, don't you? Oh, it's not women who are doing these things. It's the white women who are the problem. Really? Because if you're doing it too, it seems to me you're part of the problem. You notice that I get told that the things that people do to me are somehow magically okay, that I can ignore them, that I can ignore the financial situation, that I can ignore my physical disabilities. Like I can magically just ignore these things, like I've got a mansion because I'm white. Like I own a software company, and I'm the best computer dude on the whole planet because I'm white. Fucking A, Sidney Watson. That racist bullshit that you're pushing. Oh, I get it. You're pissed off because they're targeting white people, and you're white. You've already recognized that this is a woman's flaw and a woman's trait that is projected onto men. But then you want to get angry that this black woman is stating it as well. Because why? Because she's not targeting that women are doing it. She's specifically blaming your group. Because Sidney Watson is a white woman. Is Sidney Watson going to watch this video? No, she doesn't care about me. I'm not a Chad. I'm a Sean. I am what it is that women pretend that they want, just not in the pretty package. Why is it that we have so much filigree in houses now? Why do we have so much pretty shit? Do guys stock their houses full of pretty shit? Only if they want to attract women. It's got nothing to do with right and wrong at all. It's got to do with popularity. You can become unpopular if you arrest a woman who sexually assaulted somebody, but she's popular and people are going to take her side because she's popular and well loved. Let's say she's a Hollywood superstar. People might make a little bit of a deal about it, but she's not going to prison for it. And most people will make excuses for her. She's the victim because she's female. Sidney Watson acknowledges that. I grew up with black folks, primarily, in most of the places that I lived. First place I ever lived that was predominantly white was Chapel, Nebraska. Now, don't get me wrong, the other places that I lived, yes, the population of white people in the area to black people in the area was greater, but not in the institutions that I was in, not in the foster homes or group homes that I was in, and not in the neighborhoods that my parents were rich enough to live in. No, we had to live with minorities, with surrounding areas that are, some of them predominantly white. But I didn't grow up to be a racist. I grew up to believe in equality. And then when I hear white people, white people, white people, I'll say black people, black people, black people, and then I'll explain to you how wrong that is. And then I'll explain to you that the real enemy is BLM. The real enemy is the KKK. The real enemy is your complacency, your assumptions, and your BS. You don't stop to understand how overwhelming it is for me, but I'm expected to understand the trivial things in your life are more important than what I'm going through, more important than stopping the abuse. So why get a hold of me and contact me and pretend to care? If you actually care, you show by listening, by actually listening. I've tried to get a hold of Sidney Watson and several other men's rights advocates. Really, I'm just entirely disgusted by them. I don't see how anyone wouldn't be. I acknowledge that racism exists because I've seen it my whole life. I'm not going to pretend that racism against white people doesn't exist because I've also felt firsthand that exact excuse my whole life. Many people use the excuse that I'm a homosexual as an excuse to beat me up, to harm me, to slander my name, to do horrible things to me. I've never been a homosexual. I've also never been a heterosexual. See, I was disgusted by sex before I ever hit puberty, from first-hand experience. This black woman talking about women's crocodile tears, sure, she's pointing it very specifically at white women. But does Sidney Watson point out that it's women in this one, like she does in many others? No, she doesn't. She focuses on, oh, well, this is just extreme racism towards white people again, which of course it is. Of course it is. That black woman wants the affirmative action of being black, the affirmative action of being white, the affirmative action of being female, and the affirmative action of being male. That black woman is very self-entitled. She's also complaining about the self-entitlement of people just like her who happen to be another color. They're all still playing on the bias of sexism. But now this black woman wants special rights, just like these autistic women want special rights. We need to ignore women, and we'll make this just a black women's issue. Now us black women are victims of females doing this. But what about all of the black men that are victims of black women doing this? Or victims of white women doing this? So you try to find the thing that makes you the pissing contest winner of who's the most victimized.